The Cubs with one of their worst performances of 2025, blown out again.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. A lot to discuss on this episode. Cubs lose 8-2 to the Cardinals on Monday as the Northsiders fell to 46-32 on the season. We're still awaiting a Brewers score as we record, but obviously know the Cardinals won. The Reds also beat the Yankees tonight. Ian Happ with a golden opportunity in the top of the fifth, bases loaded, one out, and on the first pitch, grounded into a double play. We're going to discuss that as the Cubs' struggles against lefty starters continue. Also, the big story out of this one, Ben Brown likely done in the rotation, headed to AAA Iowa. 5 innings, 9 hits, 8 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 4 home runs. Sam, simply put, this was one of the worst games of the season.
Where do you want to start? You want to start with Brown just not competing. You want to start with Ian Happ and his lack of approach with runners in scoring position. You tell me where you want to start.
Well, I think we could start with that at bat and have the larger convo with Brown.
Okay. Look, this means more to me than it does to most people because it's not just a Cubs issue. It's a Major League Baseball issue. It's an issue that I discussed and debated on the watch along Saturday because there are people that are very smart that tell you there's no such thing as hitting in the clutch. There's no such thing as hitting well with runners in scoring position. And Matt, I've come around on this point that it's very difficult to steer the baseball and position the baseball, especially when if you're facing Aroldis Chapman or Paul Skeens or Tarek Skubal, one of these guys. Liberatore, that pitch to Ian Happ was a 91-mile-an-hour cutter that didn't do anything, okay? That was a pitch that could have been pitched in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, okay? And look, I'm not saying don't swing at it, but in that spot, you've got to have a plan, especially first pitch. I'm not rolling over. I'm not hitting a ground ball pull side. I'm not hitting to a double play. I know how hard hitting is. I'm not saying that I could do a better job, but I've watched baseball long enough to know in that spot, you want to have guys that can let the ball get deep and go to right and right center field. Okay? And this is where I get in trouble on Twitter and I get in trouble with my messaging because it's not that I think a guy like Justin Turner's a better hitter than Ian Happ. Of course not. But in that spot, who would I rather have up? A guy that could position the baseball, let the ball get deep, go to right center field, just like Turner did three plate appearances before to move the runners along. I get crushed all the time. Game on the line, I'll take Freddie Freeman over Ohtani. Is Freeman a better hitter than Ohtani? No, but his skill set plays better in those spots. And the Cubs, Ian Happ has been in this league too long to not be able to do that. And I just think, and it's not even, I don't even want to attack Happ individually. It's just a league-wide thing. I think that should be a part of the evaluation. I don't care if you have an 860 OPS, that's great, and that's extremely valuable. But so is letting the ball get deep and going to right and right center field when the game calls for it, because you know it and I know it. That game flipped when the second that double play was turned.
100%. Cubs were down 2-1 at that point. If Happ hits a line drive through the right side, I can't sit here and tell you that the Cubs lose that game. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. And that's why you have that's why you admire Nico Horner a lot, Sam.
That's why I love him.
Because he does that time and time again. The 40-year-old Justin Turner has a penchant for that as well. And I found this game to be disgusting after that play.
Right.
Especially that it was first pitch. That added insult to injury for me.
Because
as a former high-level coach, high-level player, and co-host and producer of this great program, and shout out to all our great listeners that are sticking with us here as the Cubs are 7-9 since June 6th. But that was the game. And then 10 minutes later, Ben Brown gave up, his 7th home run of the game anyway.
Can I just cut you off for
that was
1
the
sec?
game.
Can I just cut you off for 1 sec?
Nope, you didn't cut me off because that was I was going to move it over to you.
Swinging at the first pitch there is only bad if that's the result. If you're going to go first pitch, you have a couple to play with, so you can actually try and shoot the ball to the right side. You just can't do that on the first pitch. If Ian Happ pops out to the catcher there, you're still disappointed, but at least he's trying to lift the baseball. If Ian Happ if Ian Happ grounds into a double play on a 1-2 count, you can live with it because at that point, contact becomes paramount. But to do that on the first pitch is just, it's a summary of these issues, Matt. And we're about to talk about Ben Brown, no doubt. But I know Ben Brown's probably not going to be a piece of this rotation going forward. They're going to get it fixed. They've got to figure out how to get somebody to hit left-handed pitching. They are statistically, by batting average, the worst team in baseball versus left-handed starters in the last month. The worst. And look no further than who hit cleanup tonight. If you're going to play 5 games against the Brewers in August with potentially the division on the line, or play these guys against lefties, and that's the guy that's cleaning up.
And that's too bad because we did fall in love with the offense, but clearly they have some big time flaws. Their situational hitting has regressed dramatically, and all of a sudden they've lost 4 out of their last 5, and people are going to blame, or it's easy to blame the starting pitching, and that's part of the list, no doubt. But I think offensively, they've taken for 1 step forward, they have taken 2 steps back, at least the last couple of weeks.
Versus lefties, especially.
And really since Memorial Day, with the Rockies series, just across the board offensively. And then against lefties for sure. Ben Brown, I say you have him continue to start at AAA Iowa. Mm-hmm. Have him go 2 times through the order and leave. That will help the mileage on his arm, and also partly strategic as well, just in case someone eats it up here or someone gets injured. Then they could potentially go to him. But really, he's destined for the bullpen if and when he does return this season. But I think to keep him stretched out until August 1st or so at AAA Iowa, at least the first 18 hitters, would be a good idea. I don't see any other path, especially with Imanaga returning Thursday.
Agree. I mean, well, you said this last week, so credit to you. Credit to you. I didn't think he'd give up a home run every time I went to the kitchen to heat up a piece of fish. I come back, another 2-run homer. Gorman, Burleson, Donovan. Who hit the other one? I don't even remember. Somebody probably hit 2. Oh, Nootbaar. Yeah. I mean, all the lefties, all these guys. I mean, it was it just doesn't feel like he's ready yet. There's flashes. I mean, we've talked about it. Everything that we've discussed.
There's been some great flashes.
Yeah, there's been great flashes, and it reminds me very much of Christopher Morel. It reminds me very much of Justin Fields. But it also reminds me.
Well, to that point, I think they might trade him this July.
Wow. Well, that's a big statement. But it reminds me a lot of, there's also a lot of pitchers, Corbin Burns, like a lot of guys that had a lot of struggles early. And I've said a lot, I'm tired of saying it. It's going to stick out more when you're trying to win a division title, these growing pains, but it's definitely time for him to take a seat or go to Iowa. And, it was a really disappointing effort. Tonight was just a disappointing effort on every end, except PCA played a great game and made an incredible catch and hit 2 more doubles. And I started to get some sweats that he might win the MVP and we might waste it.
So what happens next? We're going to preview Tuesday and also the possibility of an early trade to upgrade the rotation. Back after this.
This episode is brought to you by Rougiette. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rougiette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. You can even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. Head to rougiette.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnMLB and use promo code LockedOnMLB for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information.
Is it time to worry about the Cubs? That's not something we're going to address quite yet, but ask us again after Tuesday's game, certainly after Wednesday or the completion of the series on Thursday. But they have lost 4 out of their last 5 and are 7-9 since June 6th. Jamison Tyone and Michael McGreevy.
Who?
On Tuesday, Matthew Boyd and Shota Imanaga are going to pitch Wednesday and Thursday. That's great. Cardinals likely going with Eric Fetty and Sonny Gray, but those spots are still TBD for them. It's going to be the young righty McGreevy, Sam, against the veteran Tyone.
And I look at it, and the Cubs, I just pulled it up. Cubs still same level of favorites as they were today.
Which was what, minus 120?
It got up to minus 120. It opened as Cardinals minus 115 and then flipped. Remember I said it, I didn't like that. It looked a little shady to me.
Yeah.
Well, I might echo that exact same sentiment here.
Well, the Cubs look a little bit shady right now, do they not?
Yeah, and I guess this kid's had 3 decent starts, so
he has, yeah. He's coming back from AAA.
Matt, I'm going to make a statement right now that could be kind of fun. This might be the biggest start Tyone's had so far in a Cub uniform. So far,
love it. I love that.
We really need a stopper.
The stakes are high for sure.
And with the way it's going right now, you better hope he retires these lefties because the Cubs are giving up a lot of home runs, specifically with 2 outs, specifically lefties. You really would like to get tomorrow because now that it's set in stone that Boyd Imanaga is pitching, you really like your chances in those 2 games. Now,
that's true.
Maybe you don't win both of them, but you feel like you should be able to get one of them for sure. I would go as far as to say. So, if you get this, you limit the damage, you split in St. Louis, it's not the end of the world, you move on. But it's an important game, and the Cubs are going to need Tyone to execute a heck of a lot better than he did his last time out.
And could a new pitcher be joining this rotation group possibly as soon as later this week? Multiple reports on Monday indicated the Cubs are currently active in the trade market for a starting pitcher. This despite the trade deadline still being over a month away. There are plenty of rentals available, as well as the intriguing possibility of the 2 Marlins guys, Sandy Alcantara, Edward Cabrera. They're both under control through at least 2026. Cabrera actually through 28. Cubs and Marlins were close on a Jesus Luzardo trade in December before the Cubs backed out. So these teams have exchanged names for a long time. And Alcantara's last 4 starts, 23 innings, 18 hits, 7 runs, 5 walks, 19 strikeouts. He had an abysmal start to the year. Just over these last 4 outings, his ERA has dropped by almost 2 runs because of how he has improved lately. I hope they get someone like that, Sam, because my feeling is if they do decide to jump the market and maybe even have an early-ish overpay, it's probably going to be for like Zach Eflin. The Orioles are 10 games under. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you could get German Marquez, a rental from the Rockies, as soon as, tomorrow.
Really?
But that if that's the starting pitching addition, one of those guys, they don't get Alcantara or someone of a similar ilk, I'll move mountains.
Well,
and that's fine. And you know what? If they get Eflin or Marquez this week, that's pretty cool.
Just get another one later.
Get someone next month.
Yeah, no, I think the next 7 to 10.
I got to start watching my volume here. Bennett's in the next room.
Oh, you got a baby now.
Well,
maybe I need to start watching my volume.
I have headphones. Go ahead.
1 second. Anyway,
Right.
no, if they're going to get a guy in the next 7 to 10 days, it's probably not going to be a massive name. It's
Right.
Matt, they might need a guy to just get them to the deadline.
I could see that.
It is, it's falling quickly. The weather is heating up, and this rotation. And look,
And you play good teams.
when you look back at it in hindsight, Ray, to a lesser extent, Brown, Tyone, these guys were pitching. You can't make fun of the offense for not hitting at Wrigley Field and then also not acknowledge that the pitching was taking advantage of it. Those conditions are gone now. It's hot. It's 95 all over the country. The ball is flying out of the yard. And this pitching staff looks mediocre. And to be fair to them, to be fair to Jed, we thought it might be mediocre with Shota Imanaga. We thought for sure, we thought for sure it wasn't going to be good enough without Steele and without Imanaga, and you haven't had both of them. So you get Shota back, you figure out what to do with Brown. I am much more confident that they're going to figure out this starting rotation situation in some way or another and salvage it. I'm more worried about the offense because what gave us all hope in April, we have not seen a semblance of that for a long time, particularly against left-handers for a long stretch. But yeah, they might need a guy to get him to the deadline.
Well, and Colin Ray was supposed to be a depth guy. He's been starting for well over 2 months now. Cade Horton's a rookie. Ben Brown, second-year guy. So
I think you're going to see a deal.
They have pieced it together anyway, and they always needed someone anyway. By the way, Ray will likely move to the pen, right? I think Horton's going to likely remain in the rotation.
I would say so.
And even though Ray and Flexen do fulfill similar roles, unless they try to do something differently with Ray, can you imagine him jogging out like the 7th inning or something like that?
No,
I don't think I see that.
Maybe Flexen gets a couple starts.
Ooh, okay. Today's
you just flop Ray. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're saying Flexen to actually give some length to open a game.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
If you don't make a deal soon.
There are only 7 clear sellers right now. Rockies, White Sox, Marlins, Pirates, Nationals, A's, and O's. But the Rafael Devers trade last week.
But that'll become more once you get closer to July.
Yeah, probably closer to 10 teams, don't you think?
Maybe even a little more.
Maybe even close to a dozen.
Yeah.
I'm keeping an eye on the Red Sox, Sam.
Yeah.
Bregman, Chapman, Bueller would be the big names for me there.
Yeah, the Marlins for me are where you got to make a pitching move. I think, especially if you want to strike early.
Do you have someone that you would like to see them get? Like, would you like them to acquire Alcantara? Like, is he your guy?
No, he's not my guy.
Who is Zach Gallen?
No, I've said it a lot on this show. The guy I've circled for a while, especially one you could probably do now, would be Edwin Cabrera.
Okay, yeah. So Alcantara's teammate.
I just don't think my concern with Alcantara is I think he's going to cost more than I need to see more from him. I know he's pitched well lately.
Last 4 starts.
But for what he's going to cost, I need to be a lot more sure at what he's got. I got Edwin Cabrera's numbers up in front of me. He's 2-2 with a 3.81. He's thrown the ball. You think Alcantara's thrown the ball well lately? 5 2/3 no runs, 5 2/3 no runs, 4 innings, 1 earned, 6 innings, one earned. This is a guy with real good stuff. I'm telling you, it reminds me a little bit of Jake Arrieta.
Oh, that's cool.
Just kind of a project guy with some stuff. And
he would be around for a while, signed through 28.
He'd be on my list.
Okay, I think Owen Casey would go in that deal. Maybe Ben Brown, 2 or 3 other guys. So certainly keep an eye on that. Coming up next, we have an All-Star Game ballot update. And then it is a Tuesday episode that we're recording for. So it's history and trivia time. Stay tuned.
This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. It wasn't until I started using Monarch where I realized how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and I save more. Managing money with your partner, Matt, is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
All right, last segment here on Locked On Cubs. Thank you so much for being with us, and please continue to join us all week long and all season long. As of right now, Pete Crow-Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, and Carson Kelly are all finalists for the All-Star Game starting lineup. That was according to a ballot update on Monday. Phase 1 of the voting ends later this week with the final finalists getting announced. The top 2 players at each position, plus the top 6 in the outfield, will advance to Phase 2, which begins next week on Monday, June 30th. So I saw Kyle Tucker slip down a rung, Sam. Any concern that he gets knocked out of the starting job?
Concern's a strong word. I would say no.
Acuna and Soto coming up after him.
No, I think it's really important that we get Tucker to the All-Star game. I think he deserves it. I think he should start, and I think Pete should start. So let's keep hammering to vote. I vote 5 times every day. I have an alarm that I set.
Oh, that's impressive.
That reminds me to do it. Why? I like to, people think I'm a pessimistic guy. Support these guys. And Pete Crow-Armstrong, the MVP of the league thus far, he should start. And I think it's really important that we show Tucker, for a lot of reasons, that we show Kyle Tucker some love and send him there. I think the Soto 2 home run game that was on Fox, nationally televised game, probably gave him a little bit of a jolt. Mm-hmm. And Acuna, of course, is one of the more popular players in the league. Now, Tucker could help himself and hit 2 home runs tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, he'll be right back in business.
That's true. I'd like to see the same thing. And maybe Carson Kelly will beat out Will Smith and the upset of the century. Just kidding.
That would make Douglas over Tyson look like a day at the beach.
On this day in 1984, the Ryne Sandberg game, Cubs were down 7-1, but won 12-11 over the Cardinals, thanks to home runs in both the 9th and the 10th by Sandberg. And Sam, I'm sure your dad remembers that one. And maybe he even phoned you on Monday to reminisce, did he?
No, he didn't. My dad is not in a good place with this ball club right now, so he's not in the mood to celebrate. But off Bruce Sutter, who
yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah, I believe was also a Cub and a Cardinal one time.
He was, and that could be foreshadowing later trivia for sure.
Hey, and seriously though, Ryne Sandberg should be celebrated. I don't know. Last time we saw him, he looked like he was doing great. Hope he's doing great, and great day to celebrate. One of the 2-3 greatest Cubs of all time, right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Would you say?
That's right. Yes, for sure.
Banks is probably the only one unanimously ahead of him.
Right.
The Sosa thing's, of course, a debate with a lot of people. And then I think he's right there. Fergie, I would put differently with a pitcher. Billy Williams, of course. I don't really go before, the 50s because that's just, not that I disrespect those guys. I just don't have that type of bandwidth in my mind to do that. Bryant, Rizzo, of course, but Sandberg's ahead of those guys, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He is. Let's see here. Ian Happ led off with a home run both Friday and Saturday against the Mariners, Sam, which gave him 9 homers to lead off a game. Who holds the Cubs' career record for leadoff homers? And let me know if you want multiple choice.
Alfonso Soriano?
That's correct with 22. So that was quick.
Hey, I got some good news. The Brewers got upset today by the
No
Pirates.
way.
Yeah, 5-4. You know, David Bednar, he used to play with Ian Happ growing up. He got the save.
So the Cardinals and Brewers are both, I believe, 3.5 games out.
Yeah, so maybe
And,
win a game
the Reds
tomorrow.
are 5.5.
Maybe you win a game tomorrow, you feel a little better.
And let's see what else I have here. To complete the podium of leadoff homers, it was Soriano 22, Rick Monday 17, Dexter Fowler with 12.
Rick Monday, the first ever draft pick.
Really?
Yeah, I believe that's a fact.
That's a cool one.
Dexter Fowler, former Cub Cardinal. I definitely thought you were doing former Cub Cardinal. I tried to not go there.
Yeah,
mentally.
I keep doing the last 5 years thing. Do you want to try to rattle off Cub Cardinals of the last 5 years? Some obscure names here.
I'll try it. I feel like you almost do it to make me look bad on national television. But I'll try my best.
2 catchers and 6 pitchers.
Wilson Contreras.
Yes, and he's played for only the Cubs and Cardinals. One of only 3 players to do that the last quarter century. Go ahead.
I'm not even going to try and think about the other catcher right now. I don't want to go there.
Okay.
All pitchers. Lester?
That's correct.
Boy. Quintana?
Correct.
Genesis Cabrera.
Correct. That's 3 down, 3 to go for pitchers. 1 catcher.
Mm-hmm. Genesis Cabrera, Lester, Quintana, Contreras. Who am I forgetting? Cubs, Cardinals. What type of pitcher? No, just trying to think of an obscure name, like a Hollowell type guy. Is there anyone that I'm missing that's just egregious?
No.
Okay.
I have a clue.
Yeah, give me some clue.
MVP votes. Single MVP votes.
Oh, Ortega?
No. Pitcher.
Oh, who got that? Yeah, what was that? I know what you're talking about.
2020 campaign for the Cubs. He got a single MVP vote for some reason.
Yeah, it was weird.
Reliever.
Not Brandon Kinsler. Brandon Kinsler?
No. Ryan Tepera, Sam.
Oh, Ryan Tepera. I knew it was one of those weird guys.
A guy who got a cup of coffee with the Cubs last year, crow-armstrong.
Never would have gotten it.
And Ryan Messenger. Could you
Who?
name the other catcher?
Ryan Messenger?
That's what I have in front of me.
No offense. I don't want to laugh at him. He might
Can
be
you
watching.
name the other catcher?
Yeah, I should. I feel like that one should be easy.
A sibling. He's a sibling. He has a sibling in the majors as well.
Well, Contreras would apply, but I already said him. It's not a Molina. Was he good? When did he play for the Cubs?
He was a backup.
Boy.
He got only a few games in with the Cubs now. Let's see. I think obscure clue could be lettuce, even though the pronunciation wouldn't be exact. Lettuce.
I have no idea.
Austin Romine.
Should have gotten that.
It's
a great hint, by the way.
Thank you. This is Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We have fun doing this show. Oh, by the way, for the everydayers who are still with us, I have a big surprise that I will be releasing on X tonight.
Oh, I haven't been told about this.
You have not. And
is it a guy that can hit a lefty?
I've been getting in my feels lately. And man, this journey podcasting has really been something. So I'll be releasing Sam and I's first ever podcast episode from June of 2020. I'll be releasing that tonight on X.
Oh,
For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On
no.
MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long.
This is a guy that can keep the ball in the park.
Get local analysis on Nationals.
Maybe that'd be a great surprise.
Find MLB Game Night on the Locked On MLB channel. I guess I just gave it away.
Yeah, you
on
did.
YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll be back after Cubs Cardinals on Tuesday night. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.